Welcome to FMH InsureCast, a podcast created by Farmers Mutual Hail designed to deliver expertise and insights from trusted FMH team members and industry experts. Each new episode will dive into new products, industry updates, and innovative solutions. Let's get to today's topic.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to FMH InsureCast. Dave DeCapp here. As planners are rolling across the country in various levels, as we'll get into, we thought it'd be a perfect time to check in with a few of our resident experts in both claims adjusting and farming on how spring 2026 planting season is going and what farmers are experiencing in the field kind of across the country. We'll talk about many things, but we'll talk about planting conditions, key risks that cause replant, prevent plant type scenarios, how growers are using precision ag tools, right? That's kind of a part of what we'll talk about to find some efficiencies, maybe even save a little bit of money on their crop insurance and add a little accuracy to their APHs. And overall, as you know, is not going to be news to anybody watching this or listening to this. The general challenging environment we find ourselves in ag, there's a laundry list of inputs, crop decisions that are impacted by the cost of inputs, federal support in its varying forms. There's just a laundry list of things we can talk about. Just for everyone's knowledge, we're recording today on April 21st. So by the time you're watching this or listening to it, it'll be a few days later than that. But as I mentioned, we've got 3 guests joining us from different areas of the country to share what they're seeing in their regions, since conditions can vary quite greatly depending on where you are. So I'll introduce them briefly first, and I'll turn it over to them to introduce themselves and tell a little bit about their background. First, we have Darren Cunningham. Darren's a regional claims manager in kind of the southern Delta area of the country. Matt Miller, RCM in Ohio and kind of the east central area of the country. And finally, Brandon Thomas is with us. Brandon is making his inaugural appearance here on the podcast. And Brandon's a field claims supervisor from kind of the Colorado Intermountain West kind of region. So if you would, let's start with Darren. Darren, would you introduce yourself, talk a little bit about your responsibilities in FMH, and also a little bit about your life as a farmer?
Yeah, thank you. I'm Darren Cunningham. I'm the regional claims manager for what we call the Delta region. It's Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, Tennessee, and Mississippi. I've been with Farmers Mutual since 2009 and started as a part-time adjuster like a lot of us do, and worked my way up through the company and to the role I am now. I also farm just a little bit on the side, kind of part-time. I've been farming about 10 years before FMH, and still continue to farm a little bit. I backed off acres quite a bit, but still farm row crops here in southern Missouri.
Southern Missouri?
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. All right, Matt?
Yeah, hey, thanks, Dave. Matt Miller. I'm the regional claims manager in the Great Lakes region, so that is Michigan, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and Kentucky. Oversee all the claims folks in that region. I've been with FMH since 2015, and I have a farming operation that I farm with my dad, corn, soybeans, and a little bit of cover crops mixed in.
Thank you, sir. Yeah. Mr. Thomas?
Yeah, I'm Brandon Thomas. I've been in crop insurance for about 22 years. I think 22 years now. I've been with FMH since 2015. I'm a field claims supervisor. I cover what they call the bigger states. These guys are all talking about these little tiny states. I cover the big states, basically from the Panhandle, Nebraska, down to the Four Corners area. Wide, diverse crops we deal with. I mean, there's several crops. It's just not 2 or 3 crops. It's several that we deal with. I actually have been farming. I bought the farm in 2004 from my dad, and been doing it ever since. We grow organic alfalfa and seed potatoes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, fellas. And as everyone can see, we've got some significant expertise in the room that can really add to this discussion. Hopefully, shed a little insight into how planting conditions are going kind of across, and maybe give you some advice as well on what we're looking at here. So, maybe to set the initial stage, I mentioned this is April 21st, and just looking at the planting progress report today. And this will be, Brandon's no stranger to this. Winter wheat is taking a turn for the worse, right? It started out fantastic and folks were pretty excited, but it's taken a turn, and we'll get into that a little bit. And then corn and soybean planting progress is, it looks to be a little ahead of the 5-year average. So folks I was just talking to an Iowa farmer earlier today, and he's on the north side of Iowa, and they're done. The whole county's just about done. So you'll see it very significantly, given all the kind of the wild weather and everything that we've had going on. So Darren, maybe let's start with you again. And what are things looking like in your region down there?
Yeah, my granddad taught me to farm, and he had a saying that the May around southern Missouri May weather will make the wheat crop. So we're not quite there yet. The wheat crop has been had a lot of cold nights on it, things like that slowed it down a little bit. But overall, I'd say there's some pockets that are not great, but I think overall our wheat crop won't be that terrible. I know it's different in Brandon's area of the world and probably Matt's, but I'm not looking for a ton of wheat issues. The other crops are looking really good. Planting started down in the southern states that I have. Louisiana, corn is done. Rice is 90% done. You move up into Mississippi, the corn and soybeans are actually ahead of the USDA schedule. Southern Arkansas is ahead. Northern Arkansas is about like the Boot Heel in southern Missouri. We've gotten started. There's some crops just up, but a lot of folks were waiting on a rain that we got this past weekend. Depending on where you were, that rain could have been, we received some that were 3 inches and some just got an inch. So, where you're standing makes a big part of it. So, but yeah, we were blessed to have it and really looking forward to getting it. So I think the tractors will really roll once it dries up just a little bit and use that moisture to get our crop out of the ground. But what's up looks really good so far.
Well, that's good. Let's knock on wood in that case for sure, right?
Yeah.
Let's shift gears over to Matt. High-level overview of your area.
I think one of the most interesting things, I've been in crop insurance since 2001, and I've never seen it so dry where I live at here. Recently, in the last 2 weeks, we've gotten our first over an inch rain since last June. I think we fared with about 5 inches, and it's almost fit to farm already today if the temperatures would have came up along with it, not cooled off this past weekend. So, but you go south of me, I was in Kentucky last week. They're pretty much done. A lot of corn and soybeans up, wrapping up really ahead of pace from the last 2 years down there. And then you draw a line straight across to Ohio, southern Indiana, southern Illinois, on Interstate 70 and south. They're moving right now. Work to your north, northern Illinois. I think this is the wettest start they've had in quite a while. Same with Indiana, northern Indiana, where I'm at specifically in northwest Ohio. Again, we could probably start today. Over in eastern Ohio, they're wet. And then Michigan, if you haven't seen the news on the flooding up there with all the snow melt and all the rain that they've had over the past 2 weeks, I think Michigan's going to be behind, and more rain in the forecast tonight. So, but early start. It's only the 21st of April, and it's kind of normal for us, unusual for us to be started at this point in time, this far ahead.
Is anybody, not anybody, any areas like really concerned right now, or are they still kind of playing the wait and see game, hopeful we should be in good shape kind of thing?
If we would have recorded this last week, I would have said yes. As I said, I was in Kentucky last week, and the first time in my almost 25 years of being in crop insurance, I've heard of a possible replant because of drought. Fortunately, they got some rain over the weekend, so we should be good with the replant, but nothing concerning yet, I would say.
Gotcha. All right, well, let's shift gears over to the west and Mr. Thomas. Brendan, how are things looking out there? I know you've got some interesting challenges yourself.
Oh, we do. Like you said, Dave, earlier, we were looking good on the wheat, and it kind of went south for a little bit. We got some spots of rain the last week or so, but 2 days ago we had a pretty hard freeze come through, and a lot of that stuff is flag leafed and jointing flag leaf. Some of it's heading out, so we don't know where we're where we're at with the wheat as far as that's concerned on the east side of the divide there. Starting, like up in Scottsbluff in the Panhandle of Nebraska or whatnot, I think that goose is already cooked. We're so out of water. I mean, they're talking like they're only going to have 20 days of water. I mean, anywhere, depending on what ditch you're on, That's where a lot of our irrigated corn comes from. But I think we're looking at a lot of preventive plant there just because we didn't have the snowpack. Kind of the same story over on the west side, going over to the west side of Colorado, the western slope. The peaches are looking good. We're all bloomed out. We got marble sized peaches. I think we're looking good. The higher elevations, they got a little free. They caught that freeze 2 days ago as well, which is going to take us kind of out of that. Probably take out some of those early peaches that were kind of the head of the game because of the March weather. I don't know if you guys had the same thing, but in March, we were 80 degrees where I live, and I'm right in the middle of the Rockies. We used to not, when I was a kid, we never got to 80 degrees in the summer. And we were in March and we had 80 degrees. So a lot of issues with snowpack. Snowpack drives a lot of my area. So I think we'll see, unless something changes. We're supposed to get a little bit of rain. Hopefully it saves the wheat for us, but it might be too little too late, but time will tell. We keep on acting like we're in the middle of May, and we're just in the middle of April. And that's right. Our brains are going, we got to go. And there's still a lot of time for winter, but it's not looking too happening right now. So the word is dry, dry, dry throughout the whole area.
Yeah. That's you hate to hear it. But you've been hearing about it and kind of planning for it and knowing it's happening because of the snowpack isn't happening. I know on the west side of the mountain, same thing. It is very amazingly dry. That's just too bad to hear. Hopefully we get some relief. And this question's for all three of you guys. So we talked up, kind of just the general conditions and what's going on Mother Nature wise and kind of planning progress. But, one of the things I'm really interested to hear your take on, both as an adjuster and as a farmer, is the federal programs, right? The government impacts to the industry. Obviously, you set the stage by saying every farmer wants to grow and harvest a crop, and that's what we want to do. But given some of the challenges with inputs and, some of the changes from OB3, right, the bill that was passed last July 4th, some of the farmer bridge assistance, some of the changes that were made as a result of that, all of it made in favor of the farmer. But what kind of decisions are impacted by some of these things, and what considerations do you have or are you hearing related to some of kind of the federal things that have happened over the last year?
Well, just in my area, the crop prices have been terrible. So we got crop prices going into a severe drought. We have no snowpack to even look forward to. A lot of the ski resorts didn't open. And then all of a sudden we hit $5 diesel, and I was talking to a guy, he said he hit I think he filled up for $6.80 in California on diesel. I know that's not farm fuel, but if that rises, everything else rises, right? Mm-hmm. So they're looking at it. They're looking at the field, going, "What do we do? And how can we make money?" That's one of the questions I get asked is, what crop can I plant that I'm going to lose the least amount of money? And those are tough questions we field, and us as farmers, I think we see it too. I'm looking out there going, well, I filled up with some fuel, but do I have enough fuel to get through the year? Without having to buy, I don't know what the farm fuel price is right now, but I'm sure it's around $4. So, do I have enough to get through the year? I think a lot of those farmers are looking at that. They had poor crop prices last year, and then into this year, they got even more against them. What do you do?
I think to build off of, what Brandon's talking about too, is you mentioned the bridge assistant payment, and that landed, and then all of a sudden the prices took off, right, because of what's going on in Iran, and the diesel fuel, the fertilizer. Those that were lucky enough to purchase pre-buy their nitrogen needs or anhydrous needs early last fall or earlier this winter, same with diesel fuel, kind of lucked out. But right now, when you look at $5 diesel fuel, and I've heard reports of $475 a ton, 28% nitrogen in my area. So it just doesn't pencil out, and I think it forces a lot of decisions of if you didn't have your inputs bought as far as seed, do you switch to soybeans? I just looked before we started this podcast, and soybeans were up 10 cents this morning. So you're creeping up to that $12 mark, and corn's kind of staying flat. A lot of decisions, tough decisions to make this time of year, especially with the early spring that we're having.
Right.
Yeah, you threw all that together. Yeah, and that was one of the things just in preparing for this and our conversations prior to, that's one of the things that's very interesting to me as a non-farmer is when you make those decisions or you see what's going on, like the last minute decision to switch from corn to beans on this field or that field or whatever it is would be nerve-wracking because you plan so far ahead. You're already under all this uncertainty with the weather and what's going on, things that are out of your control, right? And you feel like that's in your control. But is it as am I describing that right? And are you seeing that many changes of decisions out there? I know in preparing for this we talked about a few, but is it wholesale or is it really dependent on, like Matt said, when you bought your seed? If you already have it, you're kind of locked in. But if you're able to make a change, a lot of people are considering that.
It is. I actually am in that camp. I had planned on corn on my farm, and I have switched to beans I didn't get lucky enough to buy anything ahead of time. And I looked at the cost of fertilizer, which, like Matt says, is through the roof right now. A lot of it's to do with a lot of things, but I actually switched from corn to beans just to save a little input costs. And like Brandon, to Brandon's point, try to find the best way I can do to make $1 out of the crop. Nobody will disagree that it's a little on the dry side. In the Delta region, we would rather have it a little dry versus a little wet. Normally our springs are very wet and there's just nothing we can do about it, but a lot of our crops are irrigated. A lot of the other parts of the country don't have as much irrigation as we do. So we would actually rather have it a little on the dry side. So I did get my beans in. I wasn't, the rain did bring them up, but I'm prepared to water if I need to. But yeah, it was kind of interesting hearing both Brandon and Matt's take on that. I wasn't lucky enough to pre-buy anything, and I made some decisions and had to switch to beans.
Well, and I don't know about you guys, Matt and Darren, and maybe Dave too. Like every time I think the price is going to be like with alfalfa, the price is going to be really good, and I'm wanting to push it because I know the price is going to be good. And we're still in April. This weather's really felling me up. I want to push it because it might be good. So how can we push it? So then you look at, some of the micronutrients or whatever that I can put on, and they've all rised. All the prices have rised. So you're like, well, I don't know what to do now. What do you do? So I don't know if you guys see the same thing. I do it every year.
I think I'm more concerned about the flip side of that, where we have a normal start to the plant season, and then we turn off wet. And say the corn crop's questionable and it's time to side dress with 28 or nitrogen or 30, 32. And we start to get the questions of how much do we have to put on? Because economically, if we're replanting in the first part of June, that begs another question of how much fertilizer we have to put on. I mean, per the policy, you have to care for the crop and follow good farming practices. So it's hard from our seat to be in the insurance seat, but then also be on the farmer side of it and keep throwing that money at it as well.
Yeah, I saw that this was on Farm Doc or Farm Journal. I can't remember exactly where I read it, but I'm sure it's out there in multiple places. But it was a pretty alarming headline. It said 70% of farmers on the survey, you guys have probably seen this too, right? 70% of farmers surveyed said I think it was can't afford enough fertilizer to put on. So, accepting how realistic that is, to your point, Matt, you're talking about, you're going to go out there and like kind of how we set this whole thing up. A farmer wants to grow and harvest a crop, right? So, are you hearing, are you seeing a lot of concerns out there related to that? And then the latest graphs I've seen, like urea, potash, it just, the graphs are just like exponentially going up still. And, we can all talk about why that is and, what's going on in Iran and all that. But are you hearing a lot of concern out there about that? Or is it, more a conversation and a wait and see? You know what I mean?
I think in my area, it's a wait and see conversation at this point. Again, it's early for me. You go down to Darren's area, it's their time, right? I mean, they're starting to plant, and I think it's a wait and see thing in my area.
So they haven't hit the panic button yet. You're saying?
Not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Right.
That'll be in the middle of May.
I think in my area, we're looking at so much drought. I think they're just kind of holding back on everything and saying, well, it's probably the best time for this all to be high because we don't have the water to irrigate anything anyway. Most of my area is all irrigated. So
you were mentioning government assistance payments earlier, and I didn't touch on that. We did get a bridge payment. I got one. I think a lot of farmers see that as, yes, it's helpful. It's not going to save anybody, right? It's a great help when you need a little help. But a farmer is a farmer is a farmer. They want to grow a crop, and all they want is a decent price for it. They just want to make a good crop and sell it at a decent price and make their own living. It's kind of how I feel personally about bridge payments or any government assistance, and I think a lot of my insureds do as well.
I agree.
Yeah, that's a sentiment I've heard from a number of folks. Is it's appreciated. It like you said, it kind of fills a gap. It allows you to continue forward a little bit. Nobody wants them. Those kind of things. You want to grow a crop, harvest crops, sell it. And the other thing is, phrase I hear a lot is like, well, it kind of just kicks the can down the road. It allows you. Just that it's a bridge. But it still doesn't solve anything. It's just kind of kicks the can down the road a bit, and that's always kind of stuck with me.
Yep.
So kind of shifting over to crop insurance and kind of your guys' role in the claims process. In your conversations with agents and your conversations with farmers, what's kind of the general attitude or conversation, I'll say, about like some of the crop insurance changes, right? There's some premium support for ECO and SCO, some level changes, decoupling ARC from SCO, those types of things. Are you hearing a lot about that out there? Is it still a pretty heavy topic of conversation?
It is. It's in my area, at least, we didn't sell a lot of that. The company didn't sell. I don't sell, but the company didn't sell a lot of those products, and they are now. It's kind of there are a few products that are basically what I call a no-brainer. The government's taking so much subsidy in it, you're almost crazy not to take it. It's just almost a win-win-win. And when you find those little angles in crop insurance, you got to take them when you get them.
I think one of the surprising stats that I saw this year after the sales season closed on the 15th of March was traditionally my area has always been heavy on the plus products, the ECO plus, the ramp. They bought it, right? But I think they backed off of the plus side and stuck with just the ECO, where you have more of the government subsidy behind it, and the plus product is our buy up and turns your enterprise unit into optional units. Again, it was a move that still great coverage, but also watching their cost as you get into this high input crop season.
As far as us, I don't deal a lot with that end of it as far as the ECO and SCO stuff. I haven't heard anything. Everything that I've been hearing since December is drought. What are we going to do? How are we going to do it? I don't know if that's ever even been brought up in any of my area. Just mostly dealing with the drought. So
yeah, and to echo kind of all your comments, you see ECO kick up as far as the adoption or people taking it, and it does make a lot of sense. And one of the I won't even necessarily call it a bright spot because it's obviously things are tough, but the fact that your same plan for crop insurance year over year from last year to this year, if you took the exact same options and same coverages, it would have been actually a little bit cheaper. Which is, really nice news to be able to for an agent to talk to a grower about. And, it doesn't solve any problems, but hopefully it makes their risk management program, makes them that much more confident in that, and that it can protect them better, especially when things like, what we're talking about are going on. So, that is a small bright spot, and otherwise, kind of difficult discussion, I should say.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest downfall, the ECO is a great product. SCO is too. It's that waiting for the payment until June of 27 that, I just can't say it enough. In the meetings that I'm in with agents, with their insureds, it is a waiting game that we have to wait till we get the yields to see where it pays and where it doesn't pay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Talking many months.
Many months. We're
of
getting
waiting.
close to
Yeah,
getting to 25 though, right? It's April.
right. Exactly. Moving up in a couple months.
Yep.
So shifting gears a little bit more over into specific claims kind of questions. One of the things that's come up in just general conversations that folks might be interested to hear is, planting claims, whether it's replant, prevent plant, anything around kind of that. What are some of the scenarios that can kind of slow down or trip somebody up on those kind of things? And what are your tips to kind of avoid those?
I always preach. There's just a couple of them that I always preach. Is one, when producers go to certify their acres at the FSA office, certify the original plant date, not the replant date. That trips us up when acres attached and we notice that we have a late date that it was planted. For instance, would be corn is the final plant date's June 5th. Replanted, say on the 8th, you've lost 3% of your coverage if you replant that, or if you report the replant date. So always report the original plant date. Have your seed receipts ready, and actually precision, man. Precision coverage or plant maps, seeding maps, those make the processes go so much easier. And that's a plug for your precision.
That's right. Appreciate that for sure.
Yeah, I for sure got. I'm going. Yeah, me too. My adjusters almost try to fight over those precision claims. They're a little easier to work. They're a lot cleaner, and I don't know if you guys. We got bigger farmers that are running bags now. They're grain bags, and it's so much easier when they've done it for precision. I mean, we're done. A lot of times we have to wait because the measurement's good, but it's not as accurate as they like it or whatever. And if they have precision, we're done like that.
Yeah, Matt was mentioning when they go to FSA, it's surprising year over year that I see when we grab their 578s and they're wrong. They took the time to go in there, but they either wasn't paying attention or the FSA will print it out and let them look it over. Well, they don't really look it over. They just sign it and get out of there. Pay attention. What you're certifying makes a big difference. And those, we generally catch them. It's huge, not a huge deal to fix. It's just, you were talking about saving time. That's just time we have to deal with that. My area is not the biggest in precision at all. We have a lot of, that's a big thing of my area. A lot of people think they're full precision. They're not. We have more people that use the harvest side of it. They'll use the harvest data as soft records, and that in the crop insurance world, it just simply means we can put the grain in the crop insurance unit that it belongs in without having to commingle anything. We don't have a ton of the planting side of precision. To be full precision, you need both. You need planting and harvest.
Right.
We generally just have what I call the latter half of it. So.
Well, we got some work to do down there, Darren.
It's trying as the younger farmers come on. It is starting to grow a little bit. I've noticed it's all the younger techie guys that want to use it.
It's interesting you say that, Darren, because that's how it was here 5 years ago. Was everyone kind of shied away from it, and shout out to our precision guy Joe Callow. He does a phenomenal job with getting around to see folks and getting them set up, and that's the key, right? Is having your monitors set up, being ready to do it. Makes it so much cleaner in the end, and an easier process for everyone.
Sure.
Yep, you bet.
Well, if you get into reviews or anything like that, it's just a clean process. If they did it right and everybody did everything right on their screens and whatnot, it's just an easier process through high dollar reviews, through everything.
Yeah, that's and you're giving me a couple ideas for our next InsureCast. There's some ideas there to explore, I think.
Such a good looking crew to have another podcast.
Well, exactly. Let's just keep recording. We'll go on and do the next one too. We'll knock two out. But yeah, no, thanks for that, guys. That's good stuff. There's a lot, and all kidding aside, there is a lot more to talk about down those roads, and we definitely will explore those because some of the favorable reviews and testimonials and folks that have had great experiences, they're definitely significant and worth really kind of diving into and exploring. So we will for sure do that. So now looking from the RMA perspective, on the claims side, there's one in particular I'm thinking of on Prevent Plant, but kind of what changes and developments from RMA have come out that are going to impact this year, maybe different than last year.
My area got a little bit of a relief on the 1 in 4 rule. The 1 in 4 rule is planted, harvested, and insured in one of the past 4 years. RMA have removed the insured part. A lot do, at least I believe. That's sensitive information. When you're talking about somebody that used to farm this ground at one time and now you farm it, and we're trying to find out did they insure it or not, you're asking some pretty private questions to folks. And RMA's seen that, and they seen the trouble we were having, basically walking a fine line of, hey, we just really want to know if it was insured, but we certainly don't want to interfere with your privacy. So I think it's a great help. The ground still has to be planted and harvested. Most of the time it was insured anyway, that we found over the years, but that's one rule that's really helped my area.
Those are for some tough conversations last year, trying to prove insured. You have to think of the scenario where the producer we have insured this year, or say in 25, picked up some ground, and we had to go back to the farmer that lost the ground to see if it was insured. No, those are tough and uncomfortable conversations for everyone. Sometimes you don't get the answers you want.
Yeah.
I had a little of both. One of my states had the 1 in 4, the rest of the states didn't have the 1 in 4. So I'm a little bit on either side of it, I guess. It's really helping out my Nebraska group this year with that 1 in 4. And easier to, like you said, figuring out if it was insured. I mean, we're going back into FSA. We're doing all kinds of stuff trying to figure out if it was insured. Like you said, it's tough conversations with farmers that lost ground.
True story. We had an insured was calling, trying to get that information, just like Matt said. It's tough conversations. The guy said, "Yeah, I'll give it to you for $7,000." Guess what? We didn't get it.
I would think so.
Oh, shoot, man.
Oh, a perfect example of how difficult that those
can be
conversations
that
can be.
bad. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else that coming down from the RMA that might impact the claims experience this year? I know that's the big one.
Yeah, we talked about the subsidies already, so that's a big one.
I think the other one that would be a little too early to talk about would be the TAL, the technology assisted loss verification. I don't think we've been into it enough. Obviously we use drones. We've had drones for quite a while now, but knowing use cases and things like that, I think it's a little early for that, but promising to think that we can continue to keep using the technology to help with loss verifications, just to speed the process up and probably be more accurate, honestly.
Yeah. That's one of the things that we're seeing, especially over the last year and a half, is this desire to make things easier for the company, for the agent, for the farmer. And I'm liking some of these changes, and time will tell if they really make that experience that much better. But I like the effort. The effort seems like it's there, and it seems like that's the thrust of where they're trying to go. So from that standpoint, on the claim side and kind of on the policy side and everything as well, it sounds like the intent is certainly there.
They're doing some things that are really not in the public eye so much, but they're really helpful to the insureds. Just Matt was talking about TAL. That's some things that are saving the adjusters time, so we can get that claim processed and get those insureds paid faster. They're doing things like that maybe the public doesn't see so much, but as the adjusters and the company does see, it's time saving and trying to get checks out quicker is what it does. So,
talking about technology though too is over the weekend we just released our new claim system to work claims. Obviously, we've built a lot of technology into it with some AI learning tools. The precision, we've always had the precision import where there's large growers you can work in a matter of a few minutes, but now we have some digital scraping tools that will read PDFs and give us back files that can be imported right into the software and worked right in the field. I mean, we can work the claim on our phone. We have iPads. They talk to each other, move the claims back and forth, and upload for payment while you're standing there with the insured. So, replant season's here, prevent plant season's next. And you mentioned the grain bags or ag bags, or Brandon did. This year we've had more hail in areas where we traditionally don't have hail. So a lot of times with those ag bags, we keep the claims open because they're so hard to measure the ag bags. But you do precision, we can have it signed off and done much earlier in the year. So it's just cool, the technology that's come in the years. I mean, when I first started, I was the guy that rode around in the passenger seat and filled out the production worksheet headings as we headed to the next farmer. So now you can do it on your phone and be out of there in a matter of minutes. So it's kind of cool.
All right. So great stuff, guys. This was a fantastic conversation. But I want to open it up to see any last thoughts, advice, things to consider for the audience, maybe that we didn't touch on.
Keep in touch with your adjusters. We're in the business of crop insurance. We're here if you need us, but we don't know it unless you let us know.
Yeah.
Keep in touch with your adjuster if you've got anything going on. They're happy to help. They're accommodating as they can be, and we'll service your policy and make sure they get to you timely. And we're here to help. We really want that for your viewers to understand that we're here to help them. I mentioned it earlier. Farming's tough right now. It just is. And this is not the greatest start to a year we've seen, but we are here to help when they need us.
Yeah,
I think always in a tough year, some of the best advice I'd been given a long time ago is for producers in a tough year. Your phone calls, your best friends per se should be your agent and your adjuster, so they are well aware of what you're doing, what you're thinking. There's so many scenarios to have happen, but running those scenarios by the correct people can save a lot of headaches, can open a lot of doors. Interestingly enough, this morning I just got a phone call that a new insured to us had no idea that replants were covered. He'd just been out replanting for years and he never knew it. And I just found that's a first for me. So.
Yeah.
Communicate. That's what we want.
And I echo what Matt says too. Get with your agent, get with your adjuster. I mean, we're here to answer questions. I mean, I don't have all the answers, but we can make sure there's a lot of people we can contact to answer questions. If you're making a big decision, please call us, that we can get in front of it and let you know how it's going to end out or file out. My thought for the day is, my grandpa used to say, the corn won't grow in the bag. So I say that to all my dryland people, there's a chance rain's coming, but, so get out there and get it planted, hopefully. So.
Yeah. Great one. That's perfect to close on. Because, this conversation has been great, guys. Thanks for joining today. Thanks for your updates from the field, some amazing examples and some kind of great advice and some perspective from each of you in your areas of the country. So, I know I certainly learned a lot. I think the folks that are listening and watching will do the same. So with that, I'll thank the listeners. I'll thank the folks that are watching on YouTube. Thanks for joining us today, and we hope you found this super helpful. I know I did. And future episodes of FMH InsureCast are available on YouTube, on any of the platforms that you listen to. So like and subscribe and comment and all that good stuff. And we'll look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks.
You've been listening to FMH InsureCast. We appreciate you joining us today and would like to hear from you. If you have questions about today's topic or an idea to share for an upcoming podcast, you can contact us at fmhpodcast@fmh.com. Thanks for listening. This podcast is intended for information purposes only. See policy provisions, terms, and conditions for details. Products underwritten by Farmers Mutual Hail Insurance Company of Iowa and its affiliates, West Des Moines, Iowa. Farmers Mutual Hail is an equal opportunity provider.